Search is everywhere. The question is, are you showing up? This is Search as a Channel.
Imagine waking up, pouring your morning coffee, checking your website analytics, and realizing that like half of your traffic just vanished overnight.
Right, which is terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. And for millions of publishers and business owners in 2026, that isn't some weird glitch. It's the harsh everyday reality of the new internet. We're looking at this invisible earthquake that has completely fractured how information is discovered.
It really has. The rules we've all relied on for the past 2 decades, the basic mechanics of how someone searches for a question and lands on your website, they've fundamentally broken down.
Completely broken down.
Yeah. And if you don't understand the new architecture taking its place, you're basically optimizing your business for a game that simply does not exist anymore.
Which is exactly why today we are taking a deep dive into the underlying engineering and really the hidden data of this massive shift.
Oh, the data is wild.
It is. We're pulling from 3 really distinct sources today. We have a deeply technical engineering blog post straight from the Microsoft Bing team, a pretty hard-hitting piece from Search Engine Journal about Google's struggle for publisher data, and a highly revealing internal strategy memo on AI search metrics.
It's a great mix of perspectives.
It really gives us the full picture. Our mission today is to decode what AI search actually means under the hood, why chasing clicks is just a dead end now, and how you can figure out if your content or your brand will actually survive this transition.
Because to really grasp why the internet feels so chaotic to use right now, we have to look past the new user interfaces.
Right, the shiny new chat boxes.
Exactly. Chat boxes are just the surface. Underneath, the foundational infrastructure of search has entirely split in 2. The engineers at Bing laid this out in detail in their post. We are now dealing with 2 completely different optimization goals living inside the very same system.
So let's unpack that split, because the Bing team makes this critical distinction between traditional search and what they call grounding for AI.
Yes, that's the core of it.
Traditional search asks one very specific question, right? It asks, which pages should a user visit?
And that one question dictates everything about how the old system was built. The goal of traditional search is breadth and recall. It evaluates the internet by looking at the document as the core unit of value. The whole web page.
Just like indexing millions of pages.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it also relies heavily on this massive assumption, which is that a human being is sitting at the screen to act as a safety net.
A human in the loop to basically do the final quality check.
Precisely. If a traditional search engine gives you 10 blue links, and the first one is, say, slightly outdated or maybe irrelevant, it's not a catastrophic failure.
You just click the back button.
Right. You, the human, click it, realize it's unhelpful, hit back, and try the next link. The system tolerates imperfect rankings because human users self-correct. Stale content might slowly degrade in ranking, but it doesn't break the entire user experience.
But the moment we introduce generative AI into the mix, that foundational question changes completely. It goes from which pages should the user visit to what information can an AI responsibly use to construct an answer?
And that shifts the core unit of value away from the whole page.
Entirely. It's just to what the engineers call groundable information.
Right.
We are no longer indexing entire documents just to rank them. We're extracting discrete facts with clear provenance. The system isn't trying to point you to a destination anymore. It's slicing up a web page, verifying a specific claim, and feeding that data chunk into a language model to build a response from scratch.
It's a completely different paradigm.
It makes me think of the difference between going to a library versus hiring a professional researcher.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so traditional search is the librarian. You ask a question, they hand you a stack of 5 books, and essentially say, good luck. The answer is in there somewhere.
You still have to do all the heavy lifting.
Exactly. You do the reading. But grounding for AI is like handing those 5 books to a research assistant. They read the material, synthesize a 1-page brief, and hand it to you with citations.
Which sounds great, right?
It sounds amazing. But here is the massive vulnerability in that setup. If your assistant misreads a crucial statistic on page 10, your final report isn't just a little off. The entire premise is ruined.
That is the perfect way to understand the stakes here.
Yeah.
Because in an AI system, errors in grounding compound exponentially.
Exponentially, yeah.
An AI doesn't just read a fact and paste it. It uses that extracted fact as a premise for its next logical jump. So if the retrieval system pulls a stale piece of data at step 1, the AI uses that bad data to draw a conclusion in step 2.
And then by step 3.
By step 3, it is generating an answer that is entirely confidently wrong.
Confidently wrong is the absolute worst flavor of wrong.
It really is.
It sounds so authoritative while giving you terrible advice.
Which is exactly why the underlying index has to measure completely different things now. It can't just look at, how many people clicked a link previously or how fresh the published data is. The index must measure factual fidelity.
Meaning what, exactly?
Meaning, when the system chopped your article up into a data chunk, did it preserve your original context? It has to measure source attribution quality. And most importantly, it has to be able to detect contradictions in real time.
Okay, I want to pause on that contradiction detection for a second. If two authority websites disagree on a fact, how does the AI handle that?
That's the million-dollar question.
Because if it just silently picks the one it likes better without telling the user, then the AI is basically arbitrating truth behind closed doors.
That is the massive danger here. And the Bing engineers actually explicitly state that in the grounding process, knowing when to abstain is a critical feature, not a bug.
Abstain? Like just refuse to answer?
Yes. If the evidence is insufficient, or if top sources directly contradict each other, the AI must be engineered to abstain from answering entirely. It's a phenomenally high bar for a piece of content to clear. It has to be factual, contextually pure, and undisputed.
Wow. So if the search engine is successfully acting as this flawless research assistant, synthesizing the perfect answer so you never actually have to click a link to read the source, what happens to the person who spent 3 days writing that source material?
They get nothing.
Right. And this leads us straight into the crisis detailed in the Search Engine Journal report. We are witnessing a devastating click collapse across the web.
The economic impact on creators and businesses is just profound. The data compiled in that report is staggering.
It's hard to read, honestly.
Yeah. A recent Pew study tracked 68,000 search queries and found a massive behavioral shift. When AI overviews appear at the top of a search, users click on the underlying results only 8% of the time.
8%.
Yeah. And when you remove the AI overview, that number jumps to 15%.
So the click-through rate is essentially getting chopped in half just by the presence of the AI box.
Exactly. And it's even more severe for certain segments. Arif's conducted an analysis of 300,000 keywords and found that top-ranking pages suffer a 58% lower click-through rate when an AI summary is present.
58% lower. That's devastating.
And it gets worse. Chartbeat data shows that small to medium publishers have seen a 60% drop in search referral traffic over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
The traffic isn't shifting to competitors. It is simply vanishing into a data black hole.
Which is an existential threat if you run a business that relies on top-of-funnel web traffic to survive.
Absolutely.
Watching how Google has managed the public relations side of this has been, fascinating. The article traces their narrative evolution. Initially, when publishers began sounding the alarm about plummeting traffic, Google's executives just deflected.
Right. They claimed they had, quote, no data to share on how AI overviews impacted clicks.
Which is hard to believe. Then, as independent third-party data made the drop impossible to deny, their defense shifted. The narrative became, yes, clicks are down, but the remaining clicks are higher quality. Users who click through are more engaged.
And that evolution brings us to their most recent defense, which is really something. Google VP Liz Reed recently gave an interview where she coined the term bounce clicks.
Bounce clicks.
Yeah. She argued that the traffic publishers are losing were just users who would have visited a page, realized it didn't have the quick answer they wanted, and immediately bounced back to the search results anyway.
So the implication is almost, hey, we're doing you a favor by filtering out these low-value visitors.
That's exactly the spin. It's a very convenient framing for a platform that wants to keep users inside its own walled garden.
Seriously.
Yeah.
But the Search Engine Journal piece highlights a randomized field experiment that completely undermines that whole bounce click defense.
Oh, that study was brilliant.
Right. Researchers took a subset of queries and entirely turned off the AI overviews. Organic clicks immediately jumped by 38%. And the most crucial part of that study, user satisfaction did not drop at all.
Yeah, one bit.
People were just as happy clicking links and finding answers themselves.
So we have an independent study proving users are completely satisfied without the AI, and publishers get 38% more traffic when it's off.
Yeah.
It strongly suggests this bounce click argument is just a convenient cover story for hoarding the audience.
The incentives are undeniably skewed. I mean, a search engine's primary financial imperative is to retain attention. But now Google has felt the pressure from publishers, and they have introduced several new features designed to send traffic outward.
Well, designed to look like they're sending traffic outward.
Fair point. The article mentions a few of these new link surfaces. They've started putting inline links directly inside the AI-generated text. They've added hover previews, so if you put your mouse over a citation, you actually see the publisher's name and logo.
Which is a nice touch, I suppose.
Sure. There's a new Explore New Angles module. They are even pulling quotes directly from forums like Reddit to highlight human perspectives and adding these subscribed labels to boost visibility for publications a user already pays for.
On the surface, those look like olive branches to the publishing community. But they completely fail to address the core foundational issue, which is measurement.
Measurement, yes.
Google Search Console is the primary dashboard every webmaster on Earth uses to track their performance. As of right now, that tool still does not separate an AI overview click from a traditional blue link search click.
Wait, really? You just get one blended number?
Just one blended number. You can see your total traffic, but you have zero visibility into whether a user found you through a traditional search or if they clicked one of those new inline AI citations.
So you can't even run an A/B test to see if that shiny new subscribe label is actually driving incremental clicks.
Exactly. You are flying completely blind. And that lack of telemetry is what makes this era so difficult for brands.
I can imagine.
You are being forced to optimize your entire digital strategy for a machine learning system, but the platform refuses to give you the specific data required to know if your optimizations are actually working. Clicks are vanishing, and the diagnostics to understand why are deliberately obscured.
So if you're flying blind and traditional clicks are either vanishing or impossible to track accurately, how on earth do you measure success?
That's what everyone is trying to figure out.
Because human nature says we just want to look at a dashboard, see our company name mentioned by the AI, and declare victory. We want to track our presence.
Right, visibility.
Yeah, but the internal strategy memo we reviewed completely tears that idea apart.
It calls the measurement of presence a dangerous illusion.
A dangerous illusion. Strong words.
But accurate. Most leadership teams right now are treating AI visibility as a single blended scoreboard. They buy third-party tracking software, they see their brand cited a few hundred times across various AI tools, and they assume their digital strategy is secure.
But the data in this strategy memo reveals a deeply uncomfortable reality. They ran this massive analysis looking at 3.7 million citations across ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Google's AI overviews.
Huge data set.
Massive. And out of millions of citations, only 2.37% of the URLs appeared across all three engines for the exact same prompt.
2.37%.
Basically nothing.
It is. That means the absolute vast majority of the time, these highly advanced systems completely disagree on what the best source of information is.
And the flip side of that statistic is what really blew my mind. Over 91% of the URLs appeared in only one engine.
Which means if you are just looking at a blended visibility score, you are missing massive concentration risk.
Right.
Why do they disagree so drastically? Because these systems have different fetching mechanics, different fine-tuning weights, and different thresholds for what they consider a reliable, groundable fact.
So they all have their own unique definitions of truth, essentially.
Exactly. If your brand only shows up in ChatGPT, but you are completely invisible to Google and Perplexity, you haven't built durable authority. You are just temporarily benefiting from one algorithm's current habits.
It's like putting your entire retirement fund into one highly volatile altcoin, looking at your portfolio balance on a good day and thinking you are safely diversified.
You aren't.
No, you're really not. If Perplexity updates its fetching logic tomorrow or Google changes its contradiction detection threshold, your entire digital footprint could be wiped out instantly.
Because presence only tells you if you're seen today. It tells you absolutely nothing about how defensible that visibility is tomorrow.
Okay, so if presence is essentially a vanity metric hiding massive vulnerability, and traditional clicks are a dying currency, what is the actual metric we should be focusing on?
We need a new North Star.
Right. How do you measure resilience when the internet is fragmenting into all these competing answer engines?
Well, the strategy memo introduces the concept of portability. And this is really the blueprint for surviving the shift.
Portability. Walk me through what that actually looks like in practice.
Portability is the percentage of your content that successfully appears across multiple AI retrieval systems simultaneously.
Okay.
It answers a very demanding question, which is, when one AI engine decides your content is useful and factual, do the other engines independently agree?
So it's a measurement of algorithmic consensus.
Exactly.
If someone asks a complex question about, I don't know, supply chain logistics, and ChatGPT, Bing, and Perplexity all independently crawl the web, synthesize the data, and all three cite your article as the source of truth, then your content is highly portable.
Yes. Portability separates a temporary algorithmic fluke from undeniable utility. The memo lays out a new 2026 measurement model that teams need to adopt.
And it has 3 parts, right?
Yep. You must track 3 dimensions simultaneously. First, presence. Where do you appear at all? Second, portability. Do you appear across multiple engines for the same query? And third, concentration. How heavily reliant is your overall visibility on just one specific engine?
Okay, if portability is the new holy grail, it begs the question, what kind of content actually travels well? Because clearly, based on that 91% stat, most of the web is failing this test.
Right. The analysis in the memo breaks down portability by content type, and the hierarchy is incredibly revealing. Guides and tutorials have the absolute highest cross-engine overlap at 2.3%.
Makes sense.
Blogs and editorial pieces follow at 1.8%. Category pages and product listings just drop off a cliff. And sitting dead last with only a 1.1% portability rate.
Homepages. Homepages are dead last.
Dead last.
That is going to cause a lot of panic for web designers. I mean, why is a tutorial twice as likely to be cited across multiple AIs than a company's main homepage?
It comes down to how large language models actually parse data. A tutorial is inherently structured. It uses chronological steps, clear headers, bullet points, and definitive statements.
It's organized.
Exactly. It is incredibly easy for an AI to extract a factual claim from a tutorial without hallucinating. A homepage, on the other hand, is usually a nightmare for an AI. It's full of dynamic carousels, vague marketing fluff, and statements like, we provide synergistic solutions for the modern enterprise.
Ah, right. An AI cannot ground a fact based on synergistic solutions. It means nothing.
Nothing at all. There's no groundable information there. So the AI just skips the homepage and looks for a page that actually explains a concept clearly.
So what does a business owner listening to this do with that information? Do you just abandon your shiny, expensive homepage entirely?
No, definitely not.
Like, do you stop writing marketing copy and just churn out dense, highly structured tutorials?
You have to separate your human audience from your AI audience. The homepage is certainly not dead for human beings. When a person already knows your brand, they type your name into the browser, and they want that clean, branded, emotional experience.
They want to see what you're about.
Exactly. You still need that. But for AI discoverability, utility is the absolute king. The asset that travels best is the one that best explains, compares, or teaches.
Because the AI isn't holding a credit card. It's not trying to buy your product or vibe with your brand aesthetic. It is trying to fulfill a user's prompt with verifiable data.
Which means content creation is no longer just an editorial function. It is your core infrastructure for discoverability.
That's a huge mindset shift.
It is. To build portable assets, you have to look at your website and ask a hard question. Which of these pages would still be intensely useful to a reader, even if they never click through to buy anything from us?
And those are the ones that win.
Those are the pages the AI engines will agree on. Those are the pages that will survive.
Man, this entire deep dive really forces a complete unwiring of how we think about the web.
It really does.
We've traced this massive architectural shift from traditional search, which, just pointed humans to documents and let them figure it out, to the high-stakes world of AI grounding, where machines synthesize facts and can compound their own errors.
This whole new world.
It is, and we've seen how that shift has triggered a click collapse, starving creators of traffic while platforms like Google obscure the actual data with these blended dashboards. And we've learned that surviving this fragmentation means abandoning vanity metrics like presence.
Can't rely on it.
No, you can't just be seen by one algorithm. You have to build highly structured, objective content that achieves portability across multiple AI systems.
It is a phenomenal transition from optimizing for clicks to optimizing for undeniable utility.
Yeah.
But, looking at the types of content that achieve that portability, the heavily structured guides, the objective tutorials, it brings me to something that really concerns me about the future of this space.
Oh, what's that?
Well, if the undisputed data shows that AI engines increasingly prioritize and agree on highly objective explanatory content over anything brand-centric, what happens to the concept of voice on the internet?
Oh, wow.
Right. The only way to achieve portability and reliably get cited by these massive AI systems is to structure your writing like a neutral, hyper-efficient textbook. Do we risk losing the personality, the strong opinions, and the wonderful, messy weirdness of the web entirely?
That is a really unsettling thought.
If we are forced to write strictly for the machines to survive, what exactly is left for the humans?
That is an incredibly heavy thought to leave off on, but it is exactly what you all need to be pondering as you navigate this new digital landscape. You might still be looking at what appears to be the exact same search bar you've used for 20 years, but the machinery underneath has completely changed. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Thanks for listening. And don't forget to subscribe.